Welcome back to CES 2018. It's time for the best of CES for business. I'm Jason Heiner, and with me is the ZDNet and TechRepublic team, Bill Detweiler, Tina Maddox, and Natalie Gaiordi. You guys, we have worked all week trying to find the best stuff that's going to matter for businesses and professionals, the enterprise, and we found a lot. There's a lot to find and a lot to sort through. So let's talk about, let's go through and each talk a little bit about some of the best things that we find. Let's start with kind of, first choice, second choice, right? So Natalie, why don't you start?
Sure. So one of the products that I came across, it's, at first a little bit on the quirky side, but it's this connected robotic mannequin from a French company called Uvica. Now, on the outside, this robot mannequin looks like your standard dress form mannequin, but it's able to change its shape and size to create custom garments for different body types. So one of the obvious applications is in apparel, in production of custom garments, high fashion, things like that. But the company also explains some more potential use cases, for instance, in military, in sports, and medicine.
Yeah.
She explained that with bulletproof vests, for example, oftentimes these are constructed for the male body type, leaving gaps, and that opens up the door for safety issues. So I guess if you look more long term, this could be something that you can see, for more custom uniforms, police gear, military gear. It's really could transform the way that clothes are manufactured.
Very good. So I mean, robotics, big topic here, and so it's great to find some of these things that have real practical applications and aren't the big headliners. Although we are going to talk about a few of the headliners as well. Tina, why don't you talk about what was the first kind of thing on your list that you thought biggest impact?
Sure. Well, connected health tech was everywhere, and I was really impressed with some of the products. In particular, this, trying to help seniors live a little bit of a safer life, things like that. There was a pair of shoes that Evone had come out with that has sensors that tell you if someone has fallen and how, so that they're not, on the floor without able to get help. It's got all sorts of sensors on there. I thought that was really cool.
Nice, very good. Bill?
So I really have two things to talk about, right?
Start with your first one.
Start with my first one. Okay, just one right up the bat. Well, my favorite thing actually wasn't on the show floor. Sometimes you have to go a little bit behind the scenes to see what the really cool stuff. And so the first thing that I liked was the LG rollable display. Now this is a 65-inch OLED television that basically rolls up like a jelly roll into a box, right? It's about this big, about 50 centimeters, I think is what they say. And you would think, why do you need a rollable display? I mean, sure, we have flexible displays. They're really great in business for digital signage. They're really great in retail applications. There's all kinds of places where you might need a flexible display. Why do we need a rollable display? Well, just think about this. Maybe there's an area where you don't want the TV or the display to be out all the time. Sure. Maybe you have a coffee shop. Maybe you have a small retail location. And at night, you want to protect those displays. You could roll them up by dropping them down into this box, hiding them away.
Or you want to bring it to a trade show.
That's right. You want to bring it to a trade show. Shipping is another really big thing. Everyone in the audience has an LCD TV in their house, an OLED TV in their house. And so those, if you've ever moved one or shipped one, they take a lot of care in packaging them. And who keeps the boxes, right? You chuck them. So having a rollable TV that you could roll up into a box that's this size, I mean, it could really make shipping televisions a lot more easy.
And moving them around, using them in different places and that kind of thing, more than just in the home. So very good. I mean, this was one of the biggest stories of this CES.
Really cool.
So that's fair.
I wish it had been on the show floor so everybody could see it. That's why sites like CNET, like TechRepublic, like ZDNet are so important, because they take you behind the scenes, right?
Very good, very good. So my number one, the thing that I think is going to have potentially the biggest impact is part of the overall trend. This show as we know, used to be about TVs primarily and DVD players and even VCRs before that. And then for a while, it became about PCs. You know, for a minute, it was about mobile devices, but that really shifted to Mobile World Congress. Today, it's really become about the Internet of Things. It's about so many of the products here have nothing to do with what we would think of as traditional technology products. It's bringing technology into all of those things. So my number one is Samsung Smart Things. So Samsung announced that it was taking, you know, in addition to all of its televisions and other very cool stuff, you know, one of its side notes was this Samsung Smart Things announcement. Samsung used to have over 60 apps, right? It had an app for the fridge, it had an app for a TV, it had an app for all of these different products that it makes. It's going to make something in the neighborhood of 500 million different products this year, or it will sell 500 million products. So they're going to take all of those and consolidate them on Smart Things. And if you remember, Smart Things is the platform that it bought. It was kind of a smart home platform. It was what it was known as when it first started. And it was basically an open platform so that you could, if you had any kind of device, you could make it connect to Smart Things, and it connect to iOS, it connect to Android, it connect to all kinds of different things, and they could talk to each other. So they bought it in 2014. Samsung bought it. And now they're taking all of their devices and they're going to connect to it. So basically everything is, going forward is going to have this Smart Things capability built in. So what's that going to do, right? That's the big question. It's going to do something that, Bill, you and I have talked about at the CNET Smart Apartment that we wish we could do, which is the doorbell rings, and you want it to automatically go up on the TV and show you like who's at the front door, right? Well, that's what this kind of capability will allow. As a matter of fact, that's one of the demos that they showed off, which is you have a Ring doorbell and you have a Samsung TV. The Ring doorbell goes off, and either it can come up in a PIP, you know, picture-in-picture, or it can just take over the whole TV and show you, you know, who's at the front door. So those kinds of integrations, and the fact that it is Android and iOS, Smart Things is a pretty huge movement that could happen in terms of the consumer experience with IoT, which can be pretty daunting sometimes right now. So that's interesting. They also are working on a lot of security and business process things. They're the Smart Things developers, the ecosystem, companies out there working on products for SMBs, for security, for you know, sensors that let you know how your business is going, your manufacturing, industrial. So I think this has the potential to have an impact. We probably won't see it right away, but you're going to see, you know, over the next several years, it could become the juggernaut of IoT platforms. And also, they built security in from the ground up. They built it like an enterprise product. And so that bodes really well for it becoming more applicable and more used by a lot of businesses as well.
And I think, you know, that's been the theme of this CES more than any other CES, is the connectivity of everything, right? It's IoT. It's not just a toaster or a gadget or a TV. It really is the technology behind the gadgets that connect everything together.
Very good. So let's talk about your number two.
My number two. Okay. So my number two is a new class of Windows 10 laptops. These are ARM-based laptops, so they're running Qualcomm's 835 Snapdragon processor right now, and the new Snapdragon processor that Qualcomm announced a few months ago, the 845, is going to come out later in the year, and they'll have new laptops with these. Now, these are really cool for business travelers because they promise 24-hour battery life, which is really important, but they also promise something that as a MacBook user for a MacBook Air and a Pro user for a long time is really important. Constant connectivity. They're actually calling them always connected PCs because they're going to have cellular connectivity because it's on the Qualcomm 845 and 35 chips because they're used in smartphones, right? Yeah. And so the modem, the cellular modem is built onto the chip, and so by using that as the processor, the SoC, you get the benefit of always being connected to either LTE or 5G LTE network, which is really cool because when you travel, you don't have to find a hotspot somewhere. You don't have to go to a coffee shop. You don't have to hunt around for a good and secure Wi-Fi signal. You can just use the cellular connection built into your laptop.
This is why a lot of people really like tablets, right? It's not so much the ease, it's the fact that it's connected all the time and you're not hopping around hotspots. So we've been waiting for this to become big in laptops for a long time. The chips really weren't power enough to power a laptop though, right? That's one of the that's one of the big things.
Not until now.
But we've seen these chips, even some of the devices like the Note 8 and the iPhone 10, iPhone 8 have they have had benchmarks that show that they are as fast as laptops. So it looks like they're ready.
Yeah, it looks like they're ready.
All right, very good. Tina?
Oh, well, I would say my second thing would be it's not just one product, but there were several different connected mirrors. So it's one of those things you both kind of love and hate. So it makes the mirror on the wall fairy tale kind of real. Because one was called the High Mirror Mini, and it actually tells you if you know what your skin condition is. It tells you basically if you're pretty or ugly each morning. So if you have dark circles under your eyes, etc. But there was also a really cool mirror, the Verdera Voice lighted mirror that came out, and it had Amazon Alexa in it, and you basically can use your mirror. You don't have to have the Echo in the bathroom. You can, get traffic updates, shop, whatever you're going to do, and it's all embedded within the mirror, which I thought was really cool. It got quite a crowd at CES unveiled.
And we've seen some retail locations, some companies that sell makeup start integrating some of this kind of technology into their displays when you're purchasing, because it can be pretty daunting to purchase these products as well, right?
Right. So yeah, I find that fascinating, that whole realm of beauty tech, that what's possible.
Nice, very good. Natalie.
I guess my second biggest takeaway was a conversation with a company that doesn't have an official presence here at CES, which is John Deere. They bought an AI company about a year ago called Blue River, and they're trying to usher in the next wave of precision agriculture. So this includes, onboard computing, sensors, cameras, attached to all of these big farm equipment like combine tractors. The big goal is to automate certain processes for farmers and ultimately help them double or triple their yields. And they're thinking long term. As the population grows, Earth is going to need to produce 70% more food than is currently made. So there's a lot of long-term implications for sort of reinventing agriculture technology. And it's a lot of the stuff they're using, stuff we're finding in all the self-driving cars and all these automated systems that are here, but sort of in that unexpected place, there on the farm.
Very good. All right, so I'll throw my second one is actually sleep technology. Because we saw a few years ago, Sleep Number was here, and they were really the only, they had like a smart bed, and they were really the only ones talking about like technology to help you sleep better. This year, there's a whole pavilion, and it's really sprung up, and it's become the hottest new category at CES 2018. And the reason is that we've spent a lot of time working on health over the past 3 years at CES and in the tech industry in general. And there's really 3 pillars of health. There's exercise, nutrition, and sleep. And it's become pretty clear from some surveys that have been run over the past few years because of health trackers like Fitbits and other things, that sleep is the one that Americans especially are the most lacking in, and same thing even globally as well. And so a lot of these companies are trying to do interesting things to help you sleep better, which is interesting because we think of tech as something that is worse for helping you sleep, right? Whether having that, mostly having so many screens in our lives is detrimental to sleep. So I've learned more about sleep in the past 72 hours than in my entire life. So I've learned all about not just beds that help understand your sleep and can even, will potentially eventually be able to call EMS directly. Like if you have a heart attack or you have an apnea, if you have sleep apnea and it's exacerbated, that they will be able to call EMS directly. Your bed could call for you, for example. But it's now to the point where there's some things that are like hacking sleep. So it goes to the simple, like these things that create what they call like sound cushions that you plug in, and that's the number one reason people wake up. So it helps you to sleep better by having that sound cushion. To things that hack your delta waves. Apparently delta waves are what you measure when someone sleeps, and your delta waves are typically a certain size. Well, there's these masks and glasses that you can put on that essentially lengthen your delta waves, and so it's hacking your sleep so that your sleep quality and even your relaxation quality during the day is more restorative. So I put that whole category there, and this is something that on ZDNet and TechRepublic we're going to cover here in Q1. We're going to write more about some of these companies that are doing these sleep tech things, and we're going to do some product reviews and some deep dives on this topic. I'll throw one more out there that just to kind of talk to you guys in general, because I think as a category it's going to have the biggest impact, and that's transportation. So this show is really big at transportation. We did the story earlier in the week with the CEO of Hyperloop One. Virgin Hyperloop One is out in the Central Pavilion. They have the tube here that just about 70 miles north of here ran the test that achieved 240 miles an hour, and they say that test proved that this thing can go not just 240 miles an hour, but can get up to 700 to 800 miles an hour. So they say they've proved the test and now the tech, and now they're all going to be all about commercializing this over the next 2 to 3 years. And so, for example, if there was a Hyperloop from here at the convention center to the Staples Center in Los Angeles, how long do you think that it would take to get there?
Oh, this is one of those high school test questions. Yeah. What is it, like 2 trains going 70 miles an hour? What?
30 minutes.
Wow.
30 minutes from here to LA. So literally less than it takes you to get from here to Mandalay Bay at the end of the day in a cab. So you could, but when you think about that, this is the biggest leap forward in transportation since the commercialization of the airplane, right, in a century. So this could really revolutionize a lot of transportation. And of course, we have self-driving cars as well, which are could be far, far safer. Could help eliminate the 1.2 million auto deaths every year, most of which are caused by humans not paying attention when they're in the car.
And that was one of the other big technology trends that I think has changed over CES in the years. Autos have been here for a very long time.
Yeah.
But it used to be all about head units, right? It was all radios and stereos and replacing the speakers, replacing your equalizer. That's not so much the tech that anybody cares about anymore. Now it's all built into the infotainment systems. But it's
about AI.
Right, but it's about a lot more. It's about the telematics on the car. It's about the AI, the machine learning. It's about the sensors that collect the terabytes, the exabytes, the petabytes of data that the cars generate, how they're using AI and machine learning to interpret that data and make cars safer to drive, and also to help make them drive themselves one day.
Yep, the robo-taxis. I mean, the companies that are working on this stuff, they say we'll see it first in taxis and in delivery vehicles, and then eventually in our own cars. NVIDIA announced with Volkswagen that they're going to be bringing self-driving to their whole product line here at CES. They announced that. So good stuff. Thanks, you all. And yes, enjoy your rest from here. All right, that's all we've got for today. We're going to take a break, but we have a lot more to show you, including some of the coolest tech for kids here at CES. So stay tuned to CNET.